Morning traders, we're going to have a quick look at gold. Just bring up my gold chart here. We see how this fits in with all the rest of the 4 hourly charts. We see that we were down quite low, below a couple of pink lines, and we've come up to a flat point on the top of a cloud here. It wanted to break out, but it's come back and just supported there. A flat green line means that it's a 50% of an area. Now, in last week's video, we were looking down in this area, and I was suggesting that I was looking for an entry point short up in this area. As price came up, tested the red line and the bottom of the cloud, we see that it fell short of that true entry point to some degree, and price fell away, supported in around here, and then we had a spike up in here. I managed to get an entry in this area, and then ride this part down. um, Now, what I'm interested in is that we can see that price oscillated a little bit between these pink lines. So we'll go into a daily chart. Pink is my daily lines, and we see, like I discussed last week, I was looking for the midpoint of this bottom range, and we can see how it's offered some sort of support. Yes, it's dipped through, but you can see how there's been lots of spike downs. And this other pink line, I was looking for the midpoint between up here and down here, and we can see that price used that as a bit of a resistance zone. This last candle is obviously Friday night's action, and we can see we've come back up into the cloud. Price needs to get right up in here before I start being bullish on it at all, though I use my 4 hours setting my trend. Coming into the weekly chart, this little, we can see that it was an extended bull run, and if you just use that red line as your area of support, we see that you had a very long run for months. Now we're going to come in a little bit closer so that we can have a look at price action in this area, because this is what matters to us. Now we see I've put a green line up here. We're on a weekly chart. This is the flat area that I was looking for, and it's the midpoint of up here and here. That's your low. That's the current. That's the high that's in operation, um, and it's starting to just turn upwards a little bit. That's because we're about to drop off this low point here, but I'll still keep my line on that area because that's still the active area. Otherwise, you'll start using this low to this high, and that's where it'll go up a little bit. Now, other areas of interest is that we've got this flat green area, flat pink line here, part of the Ichimoku, and that's the midpoint of all of this action. Um, and we see that price came up, and that's where it got held. Now, that's represented by that flat green area on that 4 hourly chart. We see that price hasn't been able to get into the cloud. We still have the 9 period MA underneath the cloud, candles underneath the cloud, and this lag line has interacted with these bottoms here. Um, it's not above, it's not below, it's just interacting at the moment. So this chart is still fairly bearish. I'll pull out because we're going to go into a monthly chart in a second, but this has still got candles below the cloud, the faster line underneath the cloud, the 26 period one inside the cloud, lag lines interacting underneath the cloud, underneath the candles, but is still above this cloud. Now we're going to come into the monthly, and we see that we're in between the 9 period and the 26 period. So an area here of support and resistance, the lag line's in no man's land after such a long bull run, and the cloud is still way back down here. If we break this support, well, then I would look for price to come back down into this area, and into this area. It gives a mid 1300s as roughly as a target. Now I'll come back into the 4 hourly just so that it all makes sense a little bit more. We see that this long flat area here, it is giving the 50% of this high and this low. So this is an equilibrium point where there is some balance going on. Through the large movement, the large rally on Friday, the lag line managed to get back up through the candles, and it is actually up in the cloud. It gives us a range up here. We can get up to that 1640, 1620, sorry, range, and we've got some support here at that 1590 sort of area. If you were trading in much shorter time periods, then you had, if we look in here, we see price came up here. We're in a bear situation. It did the bear breakout, and then we can see that over a period of hours here, we generated up through the cloud, and now we're into a bull trending sort of area. The higher the time frame, the more relevant it is. This is more of a momentum area. As I was saying with the cloud earlier, on my earlier video, I look at it, if it breaks through, it's the midpoint. So if we looked at that distance, we would actually correspond to it roughly being about that distance. The cloud operates as the midpoint on a major breakout like that. I'll come back to the 4 hourly, and that's how I'll take on next week. Now, the, the, the pink and the red have both come onto the same point here, being the 50% of this area. As the candles progress, we'll see that the pink line comes up here, and if pink comes up and out through here, then I'll change my bias towards some bullish action. I hope that was of interest to you. Thank you.